Hello everyone. You might be facing a lot of hype on the internet mentioning that SHA-1 is broken or your passwords are broken or like the GitHub is broken or similar stuff that engage the SHA-1 reports that recently Google and other researchers published that mentioned that SHA-1 is broken. So if you have no idea what all of that stuff means, or if you have no idea about SHA-1 or how it broke, this video is for you. So first of all, I would like to give a bit of background to what SHA-1 actually is. SHA-1 was released as a research paper titled Secure Hash Standard in 1993. And later on, by 2005, it was discovered that there were a lot of problems with SHA-1 and there were a lot of gaping holes in the algorithm itself that caused a lot of potential issues for the users. SHA-1 itself is a hashing function, which is a different function compared to the encryption-decryption functions, in the sense that a hash function is a one-way encryption function, which means that you cannot decrypt the string generated by a hash function. And in technical terms, the digest of SHA-1 is of 20 bytes in size, or if you have a look at the hexadecimal results, it would be of 40 characters. As an example, if we enter self-dot into a function that computes the SHA-1 digest for the strings, you will find this particular digest to be generated for this string, and for every different string there is a different output. And by 2017, official statements have been released stating that the products are no longer using SHA-1. Companies such as Google, Microsoft, Apple, etc. have released such statements for their, for example, the browsers. The most prominent use of SHA-1 algorithm was to determine the integrity of a file. Every file has a single SHA-1 output that is computed by executing the SHA function on the contents of the file. So if we have two files and we allow SHA-1 to be computed on both of these files, there is a guarantee that both of these files will have a different digest. However, the recent publications support the otherwise, and they state that there have been some cases in which two different files will generate the similar SHA digest, and that is what the problem is actually all about. What Google did and other researchers did was that they took two different files with different content, actually PDF files, and when they computed their SHA-1 hash, they were similar. So which meant that the algorithm was broken because it was generating the similar digest for two different files. And the history was made by saying we have broken SHA-1 in practice. So now let us see how a collision actually occurs. A collision occurs when two different files, when computed against an SHA-1 algorithm, generate the similar digest, although the algorithm claims the otherwise, but that is not the result here. And the reason behind this is that the size of the digest is only 20 bytes or 160 bits. And as we all know that if we raise 2 to the power of 160, we get the maximum number of the possible combinations for the output, and thus the output is limited. That means that the number of files that can be stored in one particular file system secured by SHA-1 is also limited. Although a number is huge, but still there is a lot of chances that things can go wrong. And there is a birthday paradox that states that if there are 2 to the power 80 messages, then the probability of a collision is approximately 50%, which is really a high number for any file system. Due to its lightweight, SHA-1 algorithm was implemented for various protocols and various software applications for regular use. So for example, in the fields of security, it was used for the SSL or TLS communication, and previously it was also used for password hashing. However, some may suggest, and I also believe, the fact that SHA-1 was never used as a password hash, and it was not a very secure hashing algorithm to be used for implementation of security. And like we mentioned previously, SHA-1 was used to determine the digest of a file. It was widely used for data integrity. So Git, for example, used SHA-1 to determine the integrity of the files. And there are other several examples. For example, when you download an ISO file from the internet, typically the vendor or the provider will show you a few checksums for SHA-1 or MD5, etc., to determine whether the file was downloaded correctly or whether there were some errors during the download process. And similarly, it also is used to detect the tampering of the files on the network. Someone may be tampering with the content, and so using this algorithm you can detect whether the file computes the similar digest or not. However, just the way we saw previously, we also know that if some hacker tries to play with our repositories, let's say for the Git, we know that now the hacker can generate a different repository but with the similar digest that it will generate for us. And so there are a few other issues that arise now, and for more information on this, you should check out the Shattered website that was published for SHA-1 attack. The problem with the data files come when an untrusted source tries to download a file to your machine claiming that it is a file that you want. However, the checksum confirms it, but the content of the file is a bit different. Almost all of the vendors have upgraded or at least installed some patches for SHA-1. For example, Firefox recently installed the patch on February 24th, just one day after the website was published, and the Google released the public documentation for this. And likewise, since I already mentioned that SHA-1 was never used for password hashing, and if it was a very stupid idea from a security person. So don't worry about the passwords or other similar stuff, because SHA-1 is not used for that. Although not recommended, but still, if you're going to develop an application that performs the data integrity check, such as there are a few other applications that check whether a file exists or whether there are some duplicate files, so you should consider using SHA-2 or SHA-3 instead of the SHA-1 hashing algorithms. So I hope this video make the concept a bit clear to you of what SHA-1 is, or what the entire hype on the internet is. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and I really very much hope to see you in the next video as well.